Este es el Paseo de la Reforma en la Ciudad de México. Simplemente la avenida más importante y emblemática, el corazón político, económico y cultural de esta gran urbe. Desde el Ángel de la Independencia o el monumento a Cuauhtémoc, esta icónica avenida alberga también la Bolsa de Valores, el Senado de la República, los nuevos rascacielos y decenas de embajadas como Japón y Estados Unidos. Reforma es sin duda un orgullo nacional, y es con orgullo que SesioneS presenta una de las bandas que mejor han logrado entender la complejidad y la melancolía de nuestra era. Con ustedes, The National, live from Mexico City.
Listen more than you think, and I can tell that somebody sold you. We said we'd never let anyone in. We said we'd only die of lonely secrets. The system only dreams in total darkness. Why are you hiding from me? We're in a different kind of thing. All night you're talking to God. I thought that this would all work out after a while. Now you're saying that I'm asking for too much attention. Also no other thing is light enough for this place. You said we'd only die of lonely secrets. The system only dreams in total darkness. Why are you hiding from me? We're in a different kind of thing. All night you're talking to God, and I can't explain it. Any other way. I can't explain it. Any other way. The system only dreams in total darkness. Why are you hiding from me? We're in a different kind of thing. All night you're talking to God, and I can't explain it. Any other way. I can't explain it. Any other way. I can't explain it. Any other way. I can't explain it.
Well, we met in Cincinnati in college, And but the band in the late '90s, we ended up in New York. We had a band in college, but the band The National started after we had all graduated, and we were there working in design jobs. And then Aaron, Bryce's brother, was there for school. And then you and Bryan, your brother, were in New Haven, right?
Yeah.
And then they eventually moved to Brooklyn at some point, and that's when, around '99, is when The National started, right? Mm-hmm. And kind of from the ashes of some other bands that we had been in Cincinnati. So everybody's from Cincinnati, but the band started in Brooklyn. For the first many years, we were just trying to figure out how to like combine all of our different ideas and make something that worked. And so most of our early stuff was kind of feels a little bit incohesive or something, or just searching, because it was, I think. And but it took several years and several records for us to sort of, I think, start to figure out how to be a band together and how to have all of our sort of strengths, kind of work in some sort of harmonious, way. It took a long time. So we were a slow blooming flower, I guess. Hi, we're The National, and you're watching SesioneS with Alejandro Franco.
Welcome.
Hola. Hello. Thank
Hola.
you.
How are you?
Let me get the door.
Yeah, of course. That's an important thing. If not, where do you live actually?
I live in Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles?
Scott lives in Long Island, and Bryce lives in Long Paris.
In Paris, yeah.
Paris.
Ah, really? In Paris?
I do, yeah.
Wow. Is it difficult to have the band together?
It is.
With
Well,
the
I don't know.
distance?
We do get when we get together, we're all just like camp out like at the same place for weeks at a time. So it's kind of we work closer because we travel from so far to get together.
Yeah,
So
of
we're
course.
kind of like the working is more intense and more collaborative than it used to be.
Is this your first time in Mexico?
No, this is fourth time.
Fourth time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Mexico City?
Mm-hmm. Fourth time in Mexico City.
I've been a few times for vacation too. Yeah, to Mexico City.
But here in the city. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I work with Alejandro Franco, the film director, so I've been here to
Oh,
his
really?
house in San Miguel. But I love Mexico. I think it's the most interesting country. Maybe Mexico and Japan are the most interesting places to visit,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, the city's beautiful.
And what you
All
did
parks and
with El Negro?
You call him El Negro?
El Negro, yeah.
Inarritu.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
El Negro Iñárritu. I have a radio show
Yeah.
every weekday, and he used to run that radio station
Really?
Yeah.
at the early beginning.
Yeah, I'm seeing Martin for dinner tonight. Who also worked on the same.
Martin is also
Yeah.
a good friend.
Yeah.
So what did you work with them?
I worked on the Revenant.
Ah, The Revenant.
Yeah.
Yeah, what did you did there?
He was the bear.
No, I did a bunch of the music with Sakamoto.
Wow, that's amazing.
He ate Leonardo DiCaprio. He tried to.
I was Leo's like body double for like the really rough.
So it was a tough one.
Yeah, it was tough.
It's okay, guys. I got this.
You're sleeping night and day. How do you do? Me, I am. Why
yeah, we started. We would do all like gigs, any kind of gigs we could do, and we would open for a guy named Dan Byrne who was doing like playing like coffee houses and stuff and
Folk music.
We opened for a lot of bands that were just anybody who had people would come to see them. We would open for them. So. And then we went out on our own a few times on some tours that we booked and would drive around in vans and did a lot of shows where literally nobody was there.
Yeah, and also playing to either empty rooms or rooms of people who didn't care forced us to kind of, you know, sort of
Motivate.
find ways to grab people's attention, and that all that stuff was really important, I think, to how we developed. And then eventually, people started to come a little bit, you know, very like slowly in New York, and then we started to get a little bit of press in London and Paris specifically, and we'd go there and play to people, and from there it just kind of slowly grew, yeah.
And then you have the attention from beggars, or how was the approach with it?
That was several years, yeah. Like about 2004 or 5, I think they started to have interest. I think Roger came to a show in Paris.
There also were some like little record shops. There's a record shop called Other Music in New York that did like put our record in the window and did like put a little nice thing about it. So like little pieces,
Yeah, it's
little
like
players here and there, like kind of. And there was one writer who wrote something about us that he went on to become a pretty prominent music writer. But we had a few little champions. That paid attention to what we were doing, and then that led to us getting signed by beggars.
I'm always thinking about useless things. I'm always checking out. I'm always mothering myself to bits. I'm always checking out. Forget it. Nothing I changes anything. I won't let it ruin my head. I only take up a little of the collapse in space. I better cut this up. Don't wanna fuck it up. I only take up a little of the collapse in space. I better cut this up. Fuck up the place. I better walk it back. Oh, I better walk it back. I try to save it for a rainy day. It's raining all the time. Until everything is less insane. I'm mixing weed with wine. Forget it. Nothing I changes anything. I won't let it ruin my head. I only take up a little of the collapse in space. I better cut this up. Don't wanna fuck it up. I only take up a little of the collapse in space. I better cut this up. Don't wanna fuck it up. I only take up a little of the collapse in space. I better cut this up. Don't wanna fuck up the place. I better walk it back. Oh, I better walk it back. Oh, I better walk it back.
People like you are still living what we call a reality-based music. We believe that solutions emerge from your judicious study of discernible reality. That's not the way the world really works anymore. We're an empire where we act, we create our own reality. And while you're studying that reality, judiciously as you will act in it, creating other new realities which you can study too. And that's how things will sort out. We're history's actors. And all of you will be left to just study what we do.
Apparently that was written on a whiteboard with a red Sharpie in the Roosevelt bedroom sometime in Christmas 2007. Yeah, so I can't stay.
Can't stay. And I can't come back. I just keep away. And I won't react. I'll walk through lost time along the tracks. My own body in my arms, but I won't collapse. So don't go dark on me. It's alright. If I'm gonna get back to you someday, I'll need you tonight.
How do you like Mexico City?
It's amazing. Well, one of the times we were here, we went out on these houseboats on the canals, which I can't remember the name of that area.
Xochimilco.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So we were there with Broken Social Scene, and we were, but they were pulling like little canoes up to the boats with serving drinks and food and stuff. That was fun. And then another time we got really drunk with the Foo Fighters, and then the other time is lost to me. I don't remember.
We came with my brother and I came like 8 years ago and rented a car here and then drove to Oaxaca and then to Chiapas, which was a really amazing trip.
So you drove to Chiapas from here?
We drove to Oaxaca and then to Chiapas.
And then to Chiapas. Wow.
Yeah.
That must be
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Condesa has that kind of circular, like walking streets that,
Exactly.
like concentric. It's really interesting city planning. Like, what is that?
It used to be a hippodrome, and then they decided to build a whole neighborhood with big houses. So you get together for the album in a different city. Where do you live, actually?
Well, Aaron, Bryce's brother, Aaron, just built a studio in upstate New York in the country, right by this little pond, and so he finished that last summer or last spring, and that's where we kind of came and put the whole record together. The record that we'd been working on for a while, that we'd recorded in a lot of different places. We kind of brought it there and finished it there. So now that's the main headquarters where we go to this studio called Long Pond, that Aaron built. And yeah, it's really kind of it's like a barn, like a new barn but it's just real simple and out in the woods, and there's coyotes and
No distraction.
yeah, it's pretty fun. So that's sort of like our home base now, and I think that's gonna probably be our home base for a while. And we've done a lot of recording in cities, in New York City and places, but recently we all kind of live in big cities, and to just unplug and to go to someplace that's disconnected has been a really good thing for us when we're like working on a record, I think. So there's like places up near where Aaron's studio is that like classic records have been made. Like there's this place called Big Pink. Was that what it's called? Just that the
Big
studio
Pink
house.
was like the band's house where they
That was their
recorded
house?
with Dylan. Yeah.
But then
There's also like Bearsville and Woodstock.
Oh,
I think
right.
that's
Wow.
closed. Or Allaire is also near Woodstock. Those are sort of famous residential studios. We've never done. Those are really fancy. We kind of like the vibe of Aaron's place because it's really simple and spare.
Yeah, I get it.
I grew up in the middle in Ohio, and then I lived in New York for 18 years, and now I live on the opposite coast. And out there, you realize that there's just so many different sort of worlds in the American sort of whatever landscape and vibe, it's fun to sort of like tap into a different side of America that I'd ever really experienced, just that whole kind of Western desert, whatever sensibility and stuff. But it's a fun thing to make it like a week-long trip or 2-week-long trip across, weaving in and around of America.
Yeah, you get to know the cities or countries by car, right?
It's just see how from here to here, this place to that place, just how things shift and the vibe and cultural shifts all over the place. Yeah, it's a crazy place, especially now.
Yeah, especially now.
Yeah. We pushed down any sort of fences up around us that started to go up as to like, were we an alt country band, or were we a gloomy band, or were we a screamy frenetic band, and like all these little pockets. We were just like, we're a little bit of all that and none of it. And Boxer helped us like kind of reach out much further and stay out of any
It
corners.
was also the moment where we started actually to be able to kind of survive playing music. I think until Boxer, like Alligator signing with Beggars helped us continue just to have that support, because we've been, I think Matt had been personally like helping pay to make the records until then, and we, were all like barely holding on to jobs, or I was struggling to pay my rent. And I think when Boxer happened was when the audience grew enough that we could then kind of like earn a modest living, like touring and playing shows.
What do you guys do before?
We were both like art directors at Scott did all kinds of design for print and websites and stuff. I was mostly website and new media design and stuff like that. And that's why we went to New York right out of school. And we kind of got really successful fast because it was right when the beginning of the whole thing. And then the bubble burst in New York City and all that stuff when, in 9/11, everything went terribly bad for so long, and that's when our band started to find its footing in sort of like the aftermath of the financial stuff and 9/11 and stuff, and that's where we kind of left all that stuff behind a little bit and put all of our chips on the music.
We had the dumb luck of always having a record kind of come out, or us be working on it during an election, literally, so that would always kind of like weighed on what we were doing.
Or during some sort of disaster. No, yeah, that whole thing, and then the phase of like the Obama phase, and we were connected with his presidency right at the beginning because of Fake Empire was used in that, and then that led to a whole different sort of phase of ours where like High Violet and then Into Trouble Will Find Me was sort of felt like this whole different type of chemistry was going into the records we were making at that point, and then. And now it feels like there's a whole other different set of ingredients going into it for obvious reasons and stuff. So, yeah, Trouble Will Find Me was maybe a prophetic title, I guess.
Found the trouble.
It did, sure did.
And then you try to do the same with Sleep Well Beast.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, but this record, Sleep Well Beast, it was written, like, we've been, slowly cooking it for a long time. But a lot of the lyrics and the focus of all the writing happened leading up to the election and then right after the election. A lot of songs just got shifted and got thrown away. And the funny thing is that we're all personally in a very different zone. Everybody has kids, everybody's kind of found their nests, or everybody's happy and healthy, and then, and then the world was falling apart. But so it's a juxtaposition of things for us right now. But yeah, things couldn't be better for us. With the world's on fire. But yeah.
Stay out super late tonight, picking apples, making pie. Put a little something in our lemonade and take it with us. We're half awake in a fake empire. We're half awake in a fake empire. Tiptoe through our shiny city with our diamond slippers on, to our gay ballet nights, bluebirds on our shoulders. We're half awake in a fake empire. We're half awake in a fake empire.
I'm always writing from just the same stew of anxieties and desires and whatever. And it's usually always about am I being a good dad? Am I being a good boyfriend or husband? Now it's just like am I how am I supposed to? It's just usually always me trying to figure out myself in one way or another. And so that hasn't changed, but specifically a lot of the stuff, and I've been writing with my wife. I mean, I write a lot, then she hears it and comments, and she writes.
She's a writer, right?
Yeah, she's an editor and a writer and stuff. So we've been, since Boxer, I do a lot of the writing, then kind of pass it off to her, and she passes it back. And so this record, we did that more than ever before. And a lot of the songs are about our relationship and are about pulling the relationship apart, looking at it honestly and figuring out if it's working or not and stuff like that. So a lot of it is a breakup record that my wife and I wrote, about our own marriage, but our marriage isn't broken up. It's very healthy, and it's just like it's a way of like looking over the edge of the truth of all. We change as people, and you need to pull things apart and put them back together in new ways for them to be able to continue to grow, right? And so that's what's going on with America and stuff. So I was able to figure out how to make a little bit of that combination of what's going on in a marriage, or what goes on in a band, or what goes on in a community, or like the country, is that sometimes it gets all torn apart, and and then you start to figure out how to piece it back together in a way that's going to make it last, right? So I think that's what happens in healthy relationships, and hopefully that's what's happening in America.
Have you actually been seeing like changes, like important ones, now that you are like touring or promoting the new album under Trump's administration?
I think I honestly think there's significant change. A lot of the most direct, obvious things that we're seeing on a day-to-day is really terrible. Like a lot of awful short-term changes are being made, and they're trying to make them more long-term with judges in the Supreme Court and stuff like that. But I think this era of Trump has exposed and will continue to expose some real truths about America that have always been there and have never been addressed, like the racism and then now the sexism. And so Trump is sort of this sort of hanger that's reaching down the drain, the clogged drain of all the sickness that's in America, and yanking it up. And we, sorry to be disgusting metaphors, but that's what he is. He is an American, and he represents a lot of what America is, and a lot of it's really ugly, and we need to address it. And so, his presidency ultimately, I think, will bring a longer healing. He's like, there's something about, he's so bad, he's so vile. But he truly does represent a truly vile aspect of American history and American current ideology, and it's
Yeah, it feels a little bit like the the way Germany reckoned with itself after the Second World War, in a way where there's these demons that just emerge from who they were, but now it's part of their consciousness that it's always there.
Trump doesn't represent America. He represents an aspect of America that is in its dying last throes of white patriarchy, is desperate to hold on, and also the giant corporate control, and so all of that is I think we see now how what a con so much of the conservative platform is. They talk about it being about values and family values and stuff, and here is a man who clearly has very little ethical, has no such family morals or whatever the Republican Party tried to say this is what they stood for. Their leader now personifies the opposite. So it's a giant con game, and I think it's exposed, and nobody likes him. 32%, but this
even that number is
will
absurd. Who are those 32%?
Yeah, but it's I think this will be the Trump coffee table book will be the dark history that led to hopefully a true reckoning and a true progressive leap forward, and a real maybe enlightenment a little bit. I mean Kendrick Lamar's record is unbelievable because it's current, it's reacting currently to the current chaos, and I think on all sides of art, literature, film, you're gonna see some of the best stuff. When things are ugly, political is when the most exciting and desperate art happens. And I think we'll see that. There are good side effects to all of the political misery, or just dysfunction and chaos. Art does find a way to provide some kind of solace and some sort of way through it. So thank God for that.
I don't need you. Besides, I barely ever see you anymore. And when I do, it feels like you're only halfway there. Young mothers love me, even ghosts of girlfriends call from the speakers in the hallway when you get too high. Yeah, talk forever. The day I die, the day I die, where will we be? The day I die, the day I die, where will we be? The day I die, the day I die, where will we be? The day I die, the day I die, where will we be? I get a little punchy with the vodka, just like my great Uncle Valentine yesterday. Then he had to deal with those people like you who make no goddamn common sense. I'd rather walk all the way home right now than to spend one more second in this place. I'm exactly like you, Valentine. Just come outside and leave with me. Let's just get high enough to see our problems. Let's just get high enough to see our father's houses. The day I die, the day I die, where will we